Hi, I'm Jamie from ESL Teacher 365, and I have taught thousands of students both online and abroad. In this video, I will be talking about my first 3 TEFL jobs teaching abroad to help you know what it's like, what to expect, and what kind of jobs are even out there when you are a new TEFL teacher. My very first job that I got for TEFL teaching was actually as a volunteer and when I was still in university. It was over the summer, and I got a grant from the volunteering center from my university to teach in Costa Rica. I worked at a community center that had classes in ESL for both kids and adults. It was also connected to a dance studio, so I actually taught dance there as well. This was eye-opening. I kind of did this job to see if I actually wanted to teach abroad as a long-term thing, if I was even interested in it, what it would be like, and I'm really glad that I got this opportunity. I did teach adults and kids, but we really didn't have that many materials. A lot of it was just me coming up with ideas on the fly, and I hadn't actually done my TEFL certificate yet, so I didn't really know what I was doing. I'd done some teaching and I was in college for becoming a teacher, so I did have some idea, but I did struggle when there weren't any sort of books to use. There were just some flashcards and basic paper and things like that, so it was pretty challenging, but it was a lot of fun. Another thing about Costa Rica is that it rains there almost every day, and a lot of times the students just wouldn't show up. So I never knew if I would have 1 student, if I would have 10 students. It was really difficult to plan activities, not knowing if it was going to be a private class, if I would have many students so I could do different speaking activities. That was probably one of the most challenging things. Because there was a lack of resources, I ended up doing a lot of conversation style lessons and some different activities, making worksheets and games, and also using dialogues and role plays, things like that. For my adult students, some of them did have jobs where they needed to use English or they were wanting to get better jobs. So they could specifically say, I need to work on my presentation skills, or I want to practice writing an email, for example. So that was a bit easier. But with the kids, it was more, okay, here's a class of kids of many different ages, and you need to teach them English. And that was kind of all of the direction that I was given. While I was in Costa Rica, I did stay with a homestay, and I am actually still in contact with them. I have gone back many times. I even brought my parents to meet them, and it was so special getting to be part of their family. I did stay with them over 2 different summers, and it was just such a great experience. My Spanish was not the best when I went there, so I had a little host sister, and she would correct all of my Spanish, and it was just such an amazing opportunity. So if you are teaching abroad for the first time and you're feeling a bit nervous about going there alone, or you do want to work on your language skills or immerse yourself in the culture, then doing a homestay is fantastic. I highly recommend it. Another thing that happened that I was not expecting to happen at all is that I needed to have emergency surgery at the end of my teach abroad stay in order to actually go home. So what happened was I swam in a swimming pool there, and maybe it was because I wasn't used to the types of bacteria, but I got really bad double ear infections, and I actually ended up losing about 25% of my hearing temporarily. And so they inserted ear tubes into my ears so that I could fly home to the US. So that was a bit intense, and when teaching abroad, I have had a few interesting situations. Always be prepared and make sure you are in contact with your family and friends back home. They know what's going on so that they can help you out if needed, and get the travel insurance because you will probably end up needing it. If you're interested in teaching abroad but you're not ready to commit to a whole semester or a whole year, then do look for volunteer programs for teaching over the summer. Usually you can do as few as 2 weeks. You can do the whole summer like I did. I really recommend, if you can, to stay as long as possible when first starting out, because it's very different being there only for 2 weeks. It's more of a vacation. than being there the whole summer or maybe a semester as a volunteer, because you do start to integrate into the community and your school, and it's just a very different experience living abroad, working abroad, volunteering abroad, than just coming for a vacation and doing a bit of volunteering teaching there. Don't do what I did and try and do your first teach abroad job without a TEFL certificate, even if you're just a volunteer. If you would like recommendations of different TEFL courses that I have personally tested out and recommend, then you can download my free TEFL TESOL course guide. Just go to eslteacher365.com/TEFL-guide. The second place that I taught abroad was at an English immersion summer camp in France called American Village. This is very much an American style summer camp, but you are teaching French children mostly. Sometimes there's a few different international students as well, but in my experience, the majority are French kids. The way it works is you have activities counselors and you have ESL teachers. And if you are staying for multiple sessions, I usually stayed the whole summer, and I did this for 5 years, then what you're going to do is kind of switch off from session to session, being an activities counselor or being an ESL teacher. When I did the ESL teaching my very first year, it wasn't very standardized. We did have to teach based on that day's theme. So we had, for example, a Wild West Day, or we had a US History Day. We had even like Valentine's Day. So we would do, for example, help them write poems or make Valentines in English on the Valentine's Day. And you just think of activities that would go along with those themes. As I worked at this camp, throughout the years, it got more and more standardized, and the last year that I worked there, they actually had a workbook that they went through, and it was a lot easier to lesson plan. They had more materials on the computers and things like that. So it was very different my first year from my 5th year as far as the ESL teaching went. As an activities counselor, you're going to be planning different games or maybe some drama activities, could be teaching dances, doing sports, typical camp games like, I don't know, dodgeball with sponges, things like that. But you are doing this in English to non-native speakers. You have to think of, how am I going to make this game accessible for the kids? Sometimes you'll be working with very young kids, and sometimes they have camps for teens, and we had to act out the games and figure out how we're going to explain what to do. And teaching things like baseball to them and with all the rules, it could get a bit complicated. So it can help to use your TEFL training to explain these activities to your students. I spent 5 summers in France doing this because I taught in Spain during the year. So I teach in Spain during the whole school year and then go to France over the summer. And honestly, it was so much fun. And it was very different from teaching in actual schools in Spain to then this more summer camp style teaching in the summers. There was a mix of counselors from France and then counselors from around the world, from English-speaking countries mostly, and we all lived on the campus with the students. And by campus, I don't really mean campus. Like, there are sites that are in old castles. Mine was like an old, it was almost like a farm, but it also had receptions. So sometimes there were wedding receptions at this place in the countryside. Really beautiful locations. I also worked at one that was right at the beach. It just depended on where you were placed within France. American Village is still a thing, but they have changed the visa rules since I did it. Before, you could teach on a tourist visa, but they have really cracked down on that. So now you'll need EU working rights if you want to work at American Village. But for example, if you are there on a different visa, maybe you are studying or you're working there, then it is possible to look into American Village, and they also have sessions that are during the school year that are shorter during the holiday breaks. My 3rd teaching job was the first one that felt like an actual real teaching job, and this was in Spain. I did a program called USETAM, and this was a charter school system where they would take English speakers and put them as language assistants in Spanish classrooms at these charter schools. But I technically did this through a master's program in teaching at the University of Alcalá de Henares, and it has a smaller school called Instituto Franklin. This is what I did after I graduated from my university. I did my student teaching in the US and I had my US teaching license. This was my next step, went to Spain for that master's, and as part of that program, was a language assistant through UCETAM. The charter school that I worked in was pretty big. I had around 200 students and I was only teaching elementary. So there were multiple classes for each grade level, like multiple first grades. I taught grades 1 through 6. I also worked with around 8 or 9 different co-teachers. And this was very interesting because some of the co-teachers I worked really well with and we shared a lot of the load. And some of the co-teachers just kind of sat in the corner and said, I don't know, just like play a game with them or do something. It was a bit challenging to know how to navigate all these different personalities and teaching styles and managing the classroom with them as well. But in general, I taught English, science, social studies, and art, but all of those subjects in English, and worked with a lot of the same groups for multiple subjects. My role as a language assistant was to plan all of the lessons. Often they would want me to do review games, or they would want me to even take small groups and practice for these specialized exams that they had to take as part of the school year. Or maybe they would just say, oh, here's the book, teach this page. It was really up to each co-teacher individually. For some of the science classes, they had me prepare PowerPoints based on their textbook. For the art classes, they just had an art book that we would follow kind of word for word. And a lot of it was just like copying original paintings or projects, and then they would kind of do their own version. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But as far as the English lessons go, I did a lot of different activities and games. I created my own reward system with money with my face on it that I would use for my students, and it was so much fun. This was a lot more lesson planning and work than when I worked as a language assistant through the NALCAP program, also called Auxiliares de Conversación. That program, I really was an assistant. I was used a lot to just pull out the students one by one and practice speaking with them or review flashcards, things like that. Or I don't know, sometimes I was just kind of standing in the corner and they would ask me if it was the correct pronunciation as the co-teacher would do most of the teaching. It was honestly a bit awkward, but the program that I did through UCETAM, I was just at the head of the classroom and planning all the lessons and doing a lot of work. So it was very, very different. If you are brand new to teaching, then maybe it's best to start with NALCAP and then go to a program like UCETAM or Beta that are going to be more intense. Something that was different about teaching in Spain, remember Costa Rica, it was that it rained a lot and that the students didn't always come. For Spain, I thought it was interesting that they had a really long lunch break. So we were at school from 9 to 5, but we did have a nice long lunch break. So my first year, I did a lot of my master's work during that time. And the second year that I stayed, because I renewed after I did my first year, I renewed at my same school. I did a lot of homework because I was studying French at that time. Just something to consider is that the days can be quite long, but you usually do have a longer lunch break when you're teaching in Spain. I ended up teaching in Spain for 5 years. So I did 2 years through this first school that I told you about, 1 year of NALCAP, and then I actually got a job as an actual teacher at an international school in Madrid. I have taught in a few different ways in Spain, and there were pros and cons to all of them, but overall I did enjoy teaching in Spain a lot. I hope that this video was helpful to give you an idea of what it can actually be like for your first few TEFL jobs. If you found this interesting and you'd like to hear about my first online teaching jobs, then just leave a comment down below. If you're new to TEFL teaching, you're probably feeling a bit confused and lost, and don't worry, that is completely normal. You can learn how to get started through my courses and trainings, which are now available as a membership. You can go to eslteacher365.com eslteacher.com/membership for more information. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at ESLTeacher365. And if you still need a TEFL certificate and you'd like to see some of the reviews of courses I have taken and tested, then you can check out this playlist next. Happy teaching!